Hey, man.
What's going on?
Oh, not much. How was California?
Oh, I'm a blue-haired hippie liberal now. You know,
Blue.
I went. To audio listeners, I have a lot of piercings on my face now. You know, no, it was great. I had a good time. I feel like trash. Because it was 9 days of vacation. We did 2 days in Vegas, 2 days of a family wedding.
What was the best thing you ate?
Oh gosh, have you ever had a Disney corn dog?
Oh gosh.
I'm not joking.
I think I have.
I'm not joking.
I haven't been to Disney since.
You've had a fairground court dog?
Court dog?
Court dog. Corn dog.
Corn dog. Yeah.
Like a fairground?
Yeah,
but that's gross. I mean, it tastes amazing. Tastes amazing. No. Here's what I'm saying. Tastes amazing, but you know that the hygiene of the corn dog trailer at a county fair is probably subpar.
Yeah,
right?
I ordered something at a drive-thru the other day, and it was early, like probably 10 a.m., and the guy handed me my food, and his fingers looked like he had been changing oil all day.
Nice.
And I was like, you can keep
Thanks.
it.
You can keep my food.
You can keep it.
Yeah, keep my money, keep
now.
my food. That belongs to you now, oil hands. All right? That guy's name is Court Dog. So, no, you know what I'm talking about? Like the deliciousness of a good county fair corn dog.
It's tasty,
but
real bad.
Add Disney money behind that so that you trust the hygiene of it. Mm-hmm. So there's like that layer of like, am I going to die when I eat this? Is gone.
It's gone,
so now you're just enjoying a corn dog.
Now it's just good.
And I ate quite a few.
Yeah, I'm jealous of that. That sounds great.
Oh, what a good time. I feel disgusting. I've had milkshakes and burgers and pizza, and now that was my 9 days of vacation. And this morning I just breathed real heavy.
That's all
for
my
lunch.
food for the week.
Yeah, and I was like, wow. I was thinking about health advice because I've been getting a lot of like TikToks of like, you know, here's how to eat healthy or whatever, and it is all over the place.
Yeah.
We need to cut all this out because we're not. We can leave it in, I guess. We're just doing tangents, and I feel like you're going to be like, so anyway, have you heard of aliens? Anyway, I saw it in your eyes. Golly. Let's just get to it. All right, roll the theme song. Tim texted me, no context, and just said, I'm about to fight every one of our Patreon supporters.
And it was the Eiffel Towers. There's two of them. There was a slingshot, which is fitting because that was exactly 100 years after France.
And the year that Taylor Swift was born. How you been lately? Really happy.
I'm so happy.
Okay,
We're
dude.
happy.
Okay.
Things I learned last night.
Oh, okay, health stuff. Okay, there's these dudes out here who are just like, every morning I eat 8 burger patties with Velveeta cheese poured all over it, bacon. The only thing is just don't eat the bun, you know? And you can like that's their health advice.
Do whatever you want.
But then the next video is a girl who's like, yeah, I had 4 raspberries, and for dinner I'm gonna eat a Tic Tac. And like that's what I eat in a day.
All it is. Yeah.
And you're just like, this is so polar opposite.
Yeah. It's because nobody knows what they're doing.
That's what I'm saying. It's all made up. Like nothing's
It's all
real.
just
But
pretend.
it is insane to me that like those, you know, big macro kind of guys that are just like, yeah, it's all about getting the macros, high fat, like the keto stuff is just disgusting food. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, yeah, this is healthier than like yogurt and fruit.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
not. But they're yoked.
So my diet, you know, I have lost 100 pounds. I don't know if I've talked about it before. But if you don't eat county fair corn dogs.
Yeah.
But Disney corn dogs.
Disney corn dogs. My diet is
it's terrible.
Eat whatever you want.
So
eat
bad.
whatever you want. Make some nachos. Put some mac and cheese on your nachos with a little bit of Cholula hot sauce. But the key here's the key. If you want to lose weight, listen to TILLN podcast while you eat. It helps you digest differently.
That is true.
Moves it through your system. Cleans it out. It's the cleanest way to eat.
Yeah, and like we're just allowed to say it because all of it's made up anyway. What are we talking about?
Have you ever heard of the Panama Canal?
What?
Have you ever heard of the Panama Canal?
Yeah, I guess. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't worry. I can work aliens into there.
Through the canal. They'll fit. What are you talking about?
It was their idea.
Oh, okay.
They said, you know what this stretch of land needs?
A canal.
River.
River. Yeah, their English isn't great.
Yeah, they're still learning. No, okay. So the Panama Canal. You probably heard of it. It's a canal that runs through Panama, right here.
Yeah, I love how we're saying Panama.
How would you say Panama?
Panama?
How would you say Panama?
Panama. We're saying that. Whatever. Go ahead.
We're saying the same thing.
We're not, but that's fine.
It's 50 miles long. Basically, there's a stretch of Panama where
right there in the middle,
the continent's really, really short or thin.
Okay.
And somewhere along the line in history, someone was like, "Hey, this would be a great way to get through the country if the country wasn't there, like for sailing." And that person was Charles V in 1534. He had this dream of turning part of this literal continent into a river so he could take his boats through it.
Oh, so it's not. So they were like, all right, let's dig it out.
Yeah.
Let's fill it with water.
Yeah, he had this dream. And so he actually like contracted some of his like engineers and architects to figure out if it was possible. And they said there's not a prince in the world who has the resources to pull this off. And he was like, yeah, but what about a king?
Good thing I'm not a prince.
Yeah, I'm not a prince, you losers. And for really like 200 years, there had been dreams.
One guy out there with a shovel. 200 years. Really, for about 214 years, there was Daniel, Mayan Daniel, out there in the Panama Canal, just digging.
Charles was like, we'll pay you a lot if you dig it. And he did it.
Yeah.
And
Charles VI will follow up with it. Don't worry. Because
yeah, there'll always be a Charles to pay you. There wasn't. So, and then there was just this long line of people who had this dream. Thomas Jefferson was one of them. In 1768, he said, it'd be really nice if this country wasn't, and we could just take our boats through there.
And that was a direct quote. It would be really nice if this country wasn't, and we could take our boats directly through it.
See, doesn't that sound?
Signed, Thomas Jefferson.
He signed everything he said. Signed.
Yeah, what if we did that too? Yeah. That's a great idea. Signed, Jaron Myers.
Yeah, we're going to sign the...
It's like the end of a campaign video. I approve this message.
I approve this message.
So what was with Charles the 8th or whatever? Charles the 22nd. Charles the 5th.
Yeah.
In what year was like, let's cut this thing in half?
In 1534.
1534. And then 200 years later, Thomas Jefferson was like, that was a good idea.
Yeah. Continually, people just kept saying, hey, like, remember what Charles said? We should do that. But then everyone was like, yeah, but remember all the people he paid to figure that out? And they said, we can't do that.
So we can't do it.
And so they kept like sending surveyors and people to try to figure this out. But in the
just off the whim of one guy who was like, yeah, I bet we could cut that place in half.
Pretty much.
Nice.
In the 1840s, there was this thing called the gold rush. And everybody was going across the continent to California to get some gold. Here's the problem. That's what I was out there looking for last week. You're in some neighborhood in LA just digging. Yeah. I'm looking for gold.
Looking for gold.
Here's the thing. If you successfully, I don't know if you know this, if you successfully made it across the Oregon Trail, you're probably the last one that made it. If you everybody died. Oh. If you got gold, here's the rough part about this scenario though.
You have to go back. There,
you got to take it back to sell it. And getting back across, that's a tall order.
I know, I've played the game.
And so there was this issue with the gold rush where everybody who was finding gold was struggling to sell their gold because they
only had each other.
Yeah.
And they're like, I got all this gold. And someone's like, yeah, I do too.
I do
dude.
too. Yeah. Like, I don't want to.
We're the only two people who made it. We both have gold.
We both have gold. Yeah, well, you want to buy some?
What do you want to do with this gold? Well, one day I'd like to cut a country in half. To be honest.
Well, that's actually pretty close. They said, traveling all the way across America is tough. Even today, it's still tough. It's the worst.
It's a bad drive. It does suck.
The worst. But imagine doing that in the freaking
40s, comma 18.
Comma 18. And so someone was like, you know what? It would be easier to sail to the East Coast
through
the Panama Canal, but there was no canal. But there was the Isthmus of Panama, which whoever named that
Isthmus.
I hate them.
Isthmus.
Isthmus. I need to bring something up.
Please do.
I don't know. You've been distant because of your vacation, which is great. Enjoy your vacation. Disconnect. It's fine.
Are you talking about the last 9 days?
Yeah.
What are you talking about distant?
You've been distant.
Oh, are you bringing your Discord crap?
Oh, man. There has been a full war in the Discord since you've been gone.
Since you've been gone.
You just don't. We got to bleep that out. We have to bleep that out. We can't pay. By the time this episode comes out, a few weeks ago, there was an episode where I used the phrase white rabbit.
What you meant was red herring.
No, I meant white rabbit. Our patrons seems to think that a white rabbit and a red herring are different concepts, but they are the same. There's a Venn diagram. There's a red herring.
I want you to know, listener, that Tim texted me, no context, and just said, I'm about to fight every one of our Patreon supporters. And I thought, Tim, this is it. This is Tim's day of reckoning. They found an old tweet, He's going down. And nope, sure enough, it's just Tim's pride getting in the way.
Here's the thing. There's a Venn diagram.
Sure enough, it's just a red herring.
There's a Venn diagram
okay.
for red herrings, right?
Sure.
You got the red herring, and that is here. And then you've got the
Go ahead,
white
why don't
rabbits,
you explain what they
and
are?
they overlap.
No,
There's
they
a
don't.
moment where
They're different.
if something's a red herring, it's throwing you off the scent. But if you don't follow it, it stays a red herring. It's just a red herring. A white rabbit is when you chase the rabbit. And so a red herring becomes a white rabbit when you begin to follow that trail, even though it's false.
Okay.
A white rabbit can be true, though. A white rabbit can be just a waste of time. That's true, but not doesn't get you where you need to go.
I'm pretty sure the white rabbit is
intelligent.
false. The thing that would make a difference is that the red herring is a true thing, but it has no relevance to the topic at hand. The white rabbit is a false trail that you followed.
Yeah, you may be right. Even still.
That was all it took? That was all it took. All this. Everything we've gone through. You pausing an episode to discuss the red herring white rabbit debate. And me calmly explaining, here's the small difference. And you went, yeah, you might be right on this one. I guess we should cut it out.
No. Here's the thing. So now we have a new thread. We have a new thing I started this morning. I don't know if
I saw. That's what I'm saying. You're so into this.
Yeah, I've changed my username in the Discord to the Lord of the Rabbits.
Did you really?
Yeah. And I declared a
Did you know I have that at gmail.com? LordofTheRabbits@gmail.com. Did you know I have that? That's pretty crazy. It's only because I wanted to meet the Lord of the Rabbits.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying you should email me.
Well, here I am.
Signed, sealed, delivered. So
basically, you need to decide which party are you in. Are you a herring or are you a rabbit?
I'm part of the heron herd.
I hate you. And you have to throw your emoji in your username so we can identify you in the Discord. Anyway, so there's a full war. I don't know how it's gonna resolve, but
Sounds like it's gonna resolve in us losing a lot of money.
I'm drunk for power right now.
All right. If you're interested in the Panama Canal, I'm really sorry that you've listened to all this. Sorry we followed that white rabbit.
Speaking of being drunk for power, these people wanted to sell their gold and be really rich. So what they started doing is they took their boats from California and they rowed them across the ocean to Panama, to the Isthmus of Panama. Okay. And what they said is there's a port on both sides of this isthmus.
It's easier for us to travel across.
Yeah, it's a 50-mile trip across.
Sure.
So they'll port, get everything out, take the 50-mile trip, hit the other port, take another boat up to New York.
With all their stuff.
Make a bunch of money.
That sounds like a bottleneck for gold thieves.
Oh, yeah. That's a good place to hang out if you want to rob people.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to get some PvP.
Where is it now? I'm just curious.
I don't know.
When I was Uber driving, I used to tell people that. Well, that's a great place to hang out if you're trying to rob people. We were driving around. Oh, yeah, there's the Western Auto Building. There's the World War I Memorial. That alleyway, great place to hide out.
Great robbery spot.
Yeah, that's my rob stop right there. So, pretty good.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. If you like this podcast, you want more of it, please leave a review. That's super helpful to let others know who are searching for a podcast. And if you're new around here, we've been doing this for several years, and there's plenty of episodes to check out. One of my personal favorites is Agent Garbo. It was a guy who went to the government during World War II and was like, hey, let me be a double agent. And they were like, no. And then he was like, well, I'm gonna. And so he kind of went off on his own, did the thing. And it's also got some crazy details about World War II, about how the U.S. used inflatable tanks to trick Germany, all kinds of fun stuff. But if you want to go check that out, you can. But thank you so much for listening to this podcast.
But here's the thing. It was still, I think, here's what happens when you get a lot of gold. Here's what happens when you become really rich overnight, but you can't spend your money yet.
Oh, yeah.
You begin to taste, or your mouth salivates with the dreams of what the life you're about to have is.
Oh, dude, yeah. Me, as soon as I step into the Delta Sky Club. I'm not rich, but I get up there and I go, oh yeah. You're should be like, this is an unlimited buffet.
Yeah,
Man,
I'm pretty sure.
I'm about to destroy it.
I'm pretty sure you texted me a picture of your food and you said, this is why the rich are so disconnected from all of us poors.
Yeah, it's because they get tacos and I showered at the airport.
They get tacos in a shower at the airport.
Dude, I was in the airport taking a shower, and for a moment I thought, oh man, I can never go back. You know? And that's how it must have felt, have a boat full of gold.
Yeah.
Rolling up to Panama.
Yeah, so they roll in their boat, and then
he's not going to get it that I'm making fun of him the whole time. Panama. You say Panama the way George W. Bush says nuclear.
Say Panama normal.
Panama.
We're saying it the same way. There's a Venn diagram of Panama and Panama.
Move on. So you got your gold. You poured it one side of Panama.
Yeah, and then
you take.
Here's the thing. They said it'd be really nice this 50-mile walk we have to do with all this gold if we could just not have to walk that, because we're already getting used to not walking. And so what they did is
they paid locals to carry them.
Is they got the United States to build a railroad. They paid locals to
You just went on without it. I was like, really? I was like, okay.
How many golds would you need to carry
Daniel.
me across the isthmus?
And it's still Daniel, who was sent back in time from QuickBooks.
He's been digging.
He's a isthmus carrier.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Just freaking.
Did you say from QuickBooks?
Remember that? It's a callback, but that's fine.
Remember that
yeah,
bit.
your brain's dumb.
Yeah,
so anyway,
okay.
our listeners got it because they're intelligent.
Great. Well, join the rabbit. So they built a railroad. The U.S. built a railroad, and things went great because now the
U.S. did it because they were like, we can get all that gold money.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah. They wanted the gold money, and they said, we're more powerful than you, so we can just put a railroad in your country, and you can't stop us. What really happened was more of hey, this is good for your nation because now a bunch of stuff's happening here.
That might be true.
Yeah, so they were like, we'll build the railroad if you let us do it.
And you got to quit robbing people too.
They're like, no more gold robbery. So they built the railroad, but here's the problem. They built that railroad, and then they realized, man, this is still pretty inefficient because we're docking, we're unloading, loading the train, riding the train just to load another ship, and then they're like, man, Charles was right. This should be cut in half. We should just cut this country in half.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people were floating the ideas back and forth. And someone called this dude in France.
And he was like, hey, cut it in half. And then someone was like, no, they can have it. That's the real mom of Panama. That's the Panama. That's another Bible joke. Sorry, guys.
So somebody called Ferdinand de Lesseps. He's a French dude, most known for building the Suez Canal.
Okay.
And he succeeded at that and got a little too confident.
Yeah.
He was like, I could.
Dude.
He's like, pick some land, I'll turn it into a canal.
I canal.
Yeah.
Did you say
yes, we canal.
Did you say I can al? I canal.
I canal. And so he was really confident that he could turn this into a canal. Here's the issue about the difference between the Suez and the Panama Canal, though, or the Isthmus of Panama at this point. Panama was a very mountainous region.
Yeah.
With thousands of feet in elevation raise between this 50-mile span. Suez is just an empty desert. And so they just
So you could just dig.
It was flat. You dig straight through desert. There's no elements, no climate. It's just kind of hot. Panama, rainforest, mountains, bugs, snakes.
Bugs and snakes and stuff.
Yeah, it's different. It's a different scenario. But he was confident. He was like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to come here, and we're just going to dig straight to sea level through all these mountains. And then we're going to have ourselves a canal. And
What year was this?
1881 was when he started.
So so in the 1840s of the gold rush, this whole time, how soon in the gold rush did they start running things around down through Panama?
I don't know how soon they started running them. I know
When did they build the railroad?
They built the railroad in 1850.
Okay, so it's been like 30 years
Yeah.
of the railroad doing its job.
Yeah.
And they're like, guys, this is...
They're like, this is fine, but, it could be fine. You know?
Could be like, guys, this is big,
Yeah.
but it could be bigger.
Yeah. Why not? Why have more?
We could have more.
And so Lesseps is like, just dig all through the mountains, all the way to the bottom. Just dig a lot.
Let's just dig and really get his hands in the dirt. Just digging all the way down there. Getting all the way down to the sea level.
And Gustav Eiffel, you might know him from
His tower?
the Statue of Liberty. Oh, no. Yeah, you're right. Eiffel Tower.
Is that who his name after?
He built the Eiffel Tower.
He built it?
Yeah, well, he designed it. He didn't
He was
actually
like,
build
what
it.
if we...
The people who get named after, they don't do the work. They
He's
just
like, what if
think
we
about it.
built the tower? And they were like,
He said, picture this.
what would that do for us?
It was
He's
before
like,
the Eiffel Tower.
big tourist attraction.
It was two sides of where the canal would be, and it was the Eiffel Towers. There's two of them, but there was a slingshot. He's like, we slingshot the boat across the Isthmus of Panama.
You're saying
And they said,
the guy who made the Eiffel Tower was
they
like,
said
what about
no.
a giant
He
slingshot?
said, no, bad idea. And he said, I still built one, and I guess we'll put it in France.
I'm already halfway done with this project.
I'm already halfway done.
What are we gonna do now?
You can't build the rest, and so it's just one side of a slingshot.
The Eiffel Tower is half a slingshot, is what your theory is.
That was his idea. It was a little bit better.
It was the 1850s, though, you know?
Yeah, you can't fault him.
And you can't fault him.
Yeah.
It was a little mouse in his hair that was building it.
No, Eiffel was like, bro. He told Lesseps, he said, Lesseps, you're gonna try to dig through the mountains to sea level. Like that's
Bro.
literally
dumb.
10,000 feet of digging.
Yeah.
For
idea.
50 miles.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is gonna take forever and probably
gonna
not work well. He's like,
You gotta flood it.
He said, what you need to do is you need to bring the ocean up the mountains.
Yeah.
And Lesseps was like, you idiot. Do you hear what you're saying? You can't take the ocean up. He's like, we need to bring the land to the ocean. You can't take the ocean up. So he didn't listen to him. So they started digging, and it took a while. They spent, let's see here, 18 years. Spent 18 years digging. They didn't finish. They spent $287 million in that day's money, an equivalent of $10.2 billion today. Just digging.
To not finish.
Here's the problem. It failed because they were digging through these mountains. And so they were regularly having these mudslides that were literally just
filled up the hole they just dig.
Filling it back in. They're also, because what happened is it's in the middle of a rainforest.
And there's Eiffel. They're like, I told you so.
I can start the second tower. We can
First
begin,
one is done.
We can begin slingshot.
Fool's pride, I guess. Oui.
So the other issue was because they were in the rainforest, what was happening was they would have these big mud floods.
Yeah.
And then the bottom of these ravines would get very moist. And then a bunch of mosquitoes would come and bite the workers and give them malaria.
Yeah.
And so it became this rampant issue among the workers.
Or they're dying.
Yeah, by the end of the project, due to 1, malaria, 2, heat exhaustion, and 3, getting buried in these mud floods, 22,000 workers died.
Holy cow.
So a massive, like...
Over how long of a time? 18 years?
18 years. And it
You're
feels
losing
like
1,000 people a year.
It feels like somewhere along those lines, somebody should have said, hey, this isn't going well.
This isn't going great, guys. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like the pride gets in the way. Somebody goes, no, it has to work.
And there is too, like, once something like that happens, like, once you cross a certain threshold, it's like, we got to do it for them. We have to, like, make it worth it.
Because then they died in vain if we don't do this.
Yeah. And so, like...
Ultimately, they did. That's so annoying.
Well, not really. I mean, the
There's
French
a canal.
didn't pull it off. So the French ended up pulling the plug, and they actually took Lesseps and a bunch of his organization. They made them declare bankruptcy, and they actually put them on trial for it because they said that they weren't
truthful.
Yeah, they didn't think this through. But there was one guy in their organization by the name of Philippe Benau Varia, who didn't get in trouble. I don't know why. And he stayed there, and he said, you know what? I believe in this canal, and I think this canal can now.
Can now.
And so
we're gonna put the can in canal.
So he was like, I cannot give up on this canal. I'm sticking back here and making sure it happens. So he started digging by himself, day in, day out,
nonstop. Still out there.
He's been digging to this day. So he started devising a plan of how he was going to make this happen.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the whole time this is going on, the U.S. is like, the French are going to pull this off. This is not good. We need to pull this off.
1880s.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's in charge?
I mean, right now it is still kind of a hodgepodge. Like, the U.S. has their independence, but they haven't rose to the prominence they're about to rise to.
Oh yeah.
So they're still climbing. There is a hodgepodge of European nations that have a lot of power. The U.S. has a lot of power.
Okay.
That's kind of where all the power lies. And so the U.S. is like, we need that canal because if we control that, we control a lot of shipping across the planet, and we'll get really rich.
Right.
And so they devised the plan to build the Nicaragua Canal. And so there was a stretch of land, and their thought was, through Nicaragua, it's a much larger stretch of land, but it's not as mountainous, so there's a much more flat land through it. There are mountains that they have to dig through, but much less mountains. There was also a giant lake in the middle of this stretch. So if they could just make it to the lake and then get on the other side of the lake and make it across to the ocean, then it would be, theoretically, smooth sailing. So they said, we need to build the Nicaragua Canal. So they have been doing all their surveying, doing all their research, doing all their studies, figuring out their plan, right? They're making it pretty far in the process.
And then Nicaragua was like,
Philippe
you guys want to ask us? Or
Nicaragua's like, we're right here.
Yeah. We would say no to this so long ago.
If you would have just asked, we would have told you no.
Hey, I was just planning on digging a river in your backyard. Already got all the thing priced out, got a contractor. They're actually here to get started. And you're like, no.
Yeah, you excited about that or not?
No.
And so Felipe, he says...
So Felipe
says the U.S. is our last chance of pulling off the Panama Canal.
Okay.
And he says, we got to get them off this Nicaragua idea. And so he goes, he calls up the president, and he says, hey, I see you're thinking about...
Who was the president at the time?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't remember anybody before George W. Bush.
I'm pretty sure it was Roosevelt. Hold on. I'm like... Oh, McKinney.
Okay.
McKinley.
I was going to say it's not. He's from Ohio.
So
Felipe.
Yeah, so Felipe calls up the president. Is like, hey, I see you're thinking about this Nicaragua Canal thing. Cool idea.
Great idea.
But he's like, but have you guys noticed all the volcanoes?
Have you guys thought about it's really bad there, you know?
Have you thought about the real estate there?
Have you thought about long-term investment? Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to get a lot on your
Won't get a big return
resale
on that
value.
river.
Terrible.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
ROI. Thought about stocks.
Have you seen any Nicaraguan rivers in Zillow lately?
Yeah. Think about it. Think about it.
You've seen a lot in Panama.
Hey, thanks again for listening to this episode. If you like our show, make sure you follow us on social at TILLN Podcast or subscribe anywhere where you're listening to right now, whether that's YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, whatever it is. And if you want more, we do have a Patreon you can support us on. In there, you get all sorts of perks like ad-free episodes, early access to our content, and even a Discord with our hosts and producers. So we'd love for you to check that out. All you got to do is text TILLN to 66866. That's TILLN to 66866. But thanks again for checking us out.
So Felipe was like, hey, McKinley, you're trying to build this canal through Nicaragua.
What if?
He said, have you guys thought about the volcanoes?
Right.
And they said, no. And he said, yeah, there's a lot of volcanoes over there. I hear they blow up a bunch. Like, you need to watch out for them.
Sure.
And so, like...
This is like whenever one of our female friends would start dating some dude. And I was like, have you heard about his volcanoes, though? like somebody
you go in his living room, he's just got a bunch of paper mache volcanoes, like hundreds of paper mache volcanoes.
You're like, do you know about his volcanoes, though? That's a red flag. You know? You go to somebody's house and they just got paper mache volcanoes all over
Like
the place.
lots of them.
But have you considered the volcanoes? He's got a room full of volcanoes.
And so this guy, you would like this guy. He starts, because he wasn't sure if like they were convinced yet.
Yeah.
So he starts sending a bunch of letters to just different officials in the government that were like involved in
Pictures
this
of
program.
volcanoes. Photoshopped
no.
pictures of their volcanoes and their families at the bottom of the volcano. It just
But
goes,
they didn't have Photoshop, so
"Don't
he's
go
just
to-"
drawing.
He's trying to make it seem like it's a letter from the volcano. It's
The
like,
volcano says, "Don't build the
don't
river."
come to Nicaragua. You know what to do. That's what it says. And it's
like a threatening
really
volcano.
threatening letters from a volcano.
Yeah, this volcano in Nicaragua has been threatening me lately.
Threatening me and my family.
Yeah, so I can't fly.
Dude, the volcano knows my kids' names. I'm a volcano. My dad was a volcano. His dad was a volcano.
All hail the volcano.
Okay.
So he's much more subtle. So he would send these letters of honest communication type letters, right?
Sure.
But I don't know where he found these, but he found Nicaragua had a set of stamps that had volcanoes on them. And so he would send these letters to everyone.
I do like this guy.
With these, so just subconsciously.
And it's just like hey, happy birthday.
Subconsciously,
I'm
like,
just like, oh my gosh.
there's volcanoes in Nicaragua.
Nicaraguan volcanoes. You see this stamp?
Yeah, have you seen the stamp? Nicaragua's stamps? They got volcanoes on them. So eventually,
Hey, man. Hey, McKinley. What have you been thinking about lately? Just thinking about volcanoes. He's dreaming about them. Just wake up in the middle of the night. Oh!
And so he started having these conversations. He's, guys, the
I don't
Panama
know if you know,
Canal
they're famous for them.
is almost already built.
Yeah.
The volcanoes, they're almost already erupt. And
The earth already built the volcanoes.
You haven't even started building your river. We've got a river almost done.
We have half a river.
Yeah.
We just need the
gotta
other half.
finish it.
Or we have half a river and half a slingshot.
Whichever one
So
you
many
want,
great ideas.
Whichever one you want, you can have and build that. And so eventually he convinced the U.S. and the U.S. was like, okay, how do we pull this off? And he said, don't worry, let me go talk to the Panamanians.
I hate how smooth you said it. That's what got me. I need to go talk to the Panamanians. Okay. Go ahead.
So he calls them up and shows up there and he starts sending them stamps with volcanoes on them. And they're like, I don't understand the context of this joke.
Like, okay.
No,
He's like, I'm just trying to get rid of stamps now. I got too many of them.
at the time, Panama wasn't its own country.
Okay.
There was the
Who ruled it?
there was the Panamanian people, and they.
What are they called? I'm really
I'm pretty sure it's Panamanian.
okay.
Panamanian. I'm like 99% sure it's Panamanian. Pandemonium.
Dude, this is just one of his educated guesses. This is like straight
know,
up. Like,
I'm
no, it's
pretty
Martin Luther King Jr. Yeah. Oh, really? It's just a Greek god statue. You didn't see the sword and the
I'm
wings?
pretty confident it's Panamanian.
Okay.
They were a people that were there. And then Colombia was like, hey, you're us now. And they're like, no, we're not. And they're like, yes, you are. And so then they're Colombian.
Shut up.
So this, at the time,
Hey,
was
if
like,
my mom asks, you're one of us.
how much do I have to pay you for you to be my girlfriend for this wedding?
Yeah, no, I mean, we have another island. I mean, we have a whole other people group. They're on another island.
Yeah,
you
they're
wouldn't
on
know
another-
them.
yeah, you wouldn't.
Yeah, there's a river that's close.
Yeah, I mean, it's going really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're happy. Uh-huh.
Great. This is awful.
So the
If someone says they're happy, I don't know. Like, how you been lately? Really happy.
we're so happy.
Okay,
we're
dude.
happy.
Okay. I was like, what have you guys been up to lately? Just being happy.
Just so happy.
Just so in love.
Just very happy.
Yeah. Yeah, we're never going to see her again, are we?
So Panama's bitter about the whole we're Colombian now thing.
Sure.
And
Columbimonium. I'm pretty positive that's what it is.
And so Felipe shows up to all the Panamanians and says, hey, what if we could get you to where you were Panamanian and not Columbimonian? And they were like, that'd be great.
They're like, that would bring pandemonium.
This just did. Pandemonium in Panama as the Panamanians seceded from Columbimonium-ness.
Okay.
So they said that would be awesome, but we don't know how we're going to do that because Colombia has a military. We do not.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, guess what? You know, the United States.
They've got
And they were
military.
like that really big country. They're like, yeah, they want to help you. And they're like, no way. And he was like, way. He said, hang out, wait for my signal. And they were like, deal. And so then he went to the U.S. and he said, okay, the Panamans said that
Their mom said that if your mom says yes, then you can stay the night over there.
He said, hey, look, the Panamanians, they said you can build the canal. The catch is they want to be their own country. And so they're going to revolt from Colombia. They need you to stop them from getting reinforcements to Panama. And they're like, we can handle them in our country. We just can't handle their reinforcements. And so the U.S. was like, yeah, that'll be easy. And so they take their gunships and just park it outside of Panama. And then Felipe calls the Panamanians. He sends them one stamp with a volcano. And then they revolt. They do their thing.
They get the
Word
signal.
get back to Colombia. Colombia is like, oh, we need to go send reinforcements. They take their boats. They see the American gunships, and they said, hey, we don't care that much. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was driving over here anyway.
Yeah, we were just looking at the view.
Yeah, crazy. I was just in the neighborhood. That's wild. Yeah. No, I was door dashing. Yeah, sorry. I'm heading home.
Yeah, I gotta get out here.
You live here?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah, we're neighbors now. Oh, cool. Panama became a country. The United States was the first country to recognize them as a country. And then the United States was like, cool, we'll build the canal now. And they're like, cool, yeah, do that. And then they built the canal. They finished it in 1914. And it was very disappointing for the canal people because...
The canal people?
Yeah, well, right before World War I, all these people just started coming out of the canal. They call them the canal peoples. No one knows where they came from. They just destroyed the whole planet.
Yeah.
World War I was canal peoples. Now, the canal people, who built it, they planned this big ceremony where they're going to invite all the nations.
So at this point, it's who has built it? This is the American government's paying for it.
Yeah. So the United States built it. They hired
Felipe,
and Felipe actually called his old friend Lesseps
Okay.
And Lesseps this time was like, yeah, maybe we should do that thing where
Yeah.
we
No, Lesseps
did the
is like,
locks.
oh yeah, I'm actually in prison for killing 22,000 people. So I don't think my ideas are the best.
Yeah, and
but-
the U.S. was like, we got gunships, we can get you out of prison. And I don't know how that happened. But anyways, yeah, so he came in. Well, he didn't actually come. He just kind of, from France, told everyone what to do. But anyways, he said, look, sea level rivers, dumb. Mountain level rivers, cool. And so he built these locks, which, do you know how the Panama Canal works?
No,
It's
I have no idea.
You're saying that like you do.
No, I'm serious.
Oh, it's pretty smart. So what they do is they bring the boats in, and they call them locks, and it almost like an airlock. And so it locks in, and then what happens is there is another lock that is a higher level water, and it drains in and then matches the level of the water, and then the gate opens and it goes through and closes, and it just repeats this over and over as it raises the sea level of the canal
I
until
don't
they
think
get.
I understand it.
Okay, let me explain it again.
Do you have a visual? I'm kind of serious. Do you have a visual?
Let me grab one. Essentially, what they're doing is, have you ever had like two cups and you like poured from one cup and made them the same height?
Yes.
That's what they're doing over and over again until they get up to the highest height in the mountain. And then they've got a canal all the way across that highest height. Then they get to the other side and they reverse the process.
Okay. But how do they get the water up there?
So here, let me get you
How does...
a graphic.
Is it because did it fill with the rain?
No, there's a lake at the top.
Is that real? I'm having trouble picturing this.
Here, let me get you a graphic. I need to get one that's a little bit more.
This show is hosted by two idiots. Okay, so boats come in. This thing shuts off the water.
Yeah, so there's a gate on both sides.
They
that
built this in
closes it
in like 19 something.
Yeah, 1914 it was finished. They started in 1901. So there's two gates. The gate that they came in from closes behind them. The gate in front of them is already closed.
Okay.
And then they get in there, and then what happens is we'll start at the left. You're coming from the Atlantic Ocean. You go through the Gatton locks, and so that first one is the same level as sea level. You get in there, the gate closes behind you, and it goes up really high. And then the next level, the water level lowers to where the water level's even, but it's higher than what it was before, and so it lifts the boat up. And once it's even, then they open up that gate, and then the boat goes through. The gate closes, and then they repeat this process over and over again. So you're raising in altitude just a little bit every time you're going through until you're at the altitude of this Gatun Lake. And then it goes all the way through and then reverses the process where now it's descending the water level so that...
What's it powered by? How are you doing the gates?
It's just pumps. So they're just pumping the water through. So there's like underground pumps that are pumping water through the next gate. And then there's a guy. There's a troll. There's a troll.
They've got a troll?
No, it was probably steam powered. Steam was a thing at the time.
That's very interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And this is still how it functions today. There's a lot more like electricity and computers and stuff now, but it's the same concept.
In the water?
Yeah,
you can't jump in there. You'll get shocked.
Yeah, this water is super electric.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty smart. And so that was the idea. Go up the mountain instead of dig to sea level. Because you can see in this graphic, if they dug to sea level, there's still a lot more dirt to dig out.
Yeah.
That would take some time.
Yeah.
It's really, really clever. And so the people who built it were super proud of it. This is honestly one of the most impressive engineering marvels in recent history.
That's what I'm saying. That is pretty crazy.
Really, really, very, very impressive.
I think about this a lot. I thought about this at the hotel the other day. If civilization fell apart.
Yeah.
I mean, I know how wheels work, you
Yeah.
know, but I don't know how like axles. I couldn't like
Yeah.
make a
I couldn't
car.
build a dam.
Yeah. For real though.
Yeah,
like, I mean, it's like
there's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff
we
that
would
I
be
go.
screwed. We would be very
Oh my
screwed.
gosh.
Yeah, that's how the Bronze Age collapse happened. They didn't
I was
know how to
thinking
do all
about.
that
You know
stuff.
why I thought about it? Because I was in the hotel and I was like, how is this elevator working? I was like, because it's doing different weights, but like. Anyway.
Yeah, it's impressive. People are smarter than us.
People are smarter than us, man.
So stupid. But so they planned this big event, right?
and they invited every nation in the world to come look at the cool thing that they built.
Okay.
And they had a really fancy boat that they were going to take the whole trip on, and it was going to be like a parade. Everyone was going to be on the side with their flags and their cigarettes and their fireworks, just like celebrating the whole thing, right?
Sure.
The day that they planned it was literally, I kid you not, like 2 weeks after World War I started.
Oh, tight.
And so...
And people were like, I don't want to go if they're going.
You're going to tell me they're going to be there? No, yeah, so they canceled it. And so because this happened, it wasn't the first ship that traveled through. It wasn't this like pretty boat. It was like a United States warship.
Nice.
So, which is pretty fitting, given how they got it.
Given how the United States is.
And so they built that. And then the Panama Canal since then has had a pretty rocky history. The U.S., after they built that, was like, this is now the canal zone. And that's a part of our country. And Panama was like, that wasn't the deal. They were like, this is Panama. And they're like, no, this is the canal zone. And they set up all these like...
I love canal zones.
Whoever decided to just fold it over on itself.
Whoever decided to take a pizza, fold it in half.
Big fan of canals.
You know what I love is that, okay, so like let's say you got the pepperoni on the cheese, right? And then a little canal thing pops up and then like the cheese melts into the other canal area. And all of a sudden you got like a raised up. Honestly, the science behind it's incredible.
It's a modern engineering
I do
marvel.
love canal zones.
So they said this is the canal zone. And what they did is they built this city just kind of all along the canal zone. That was an American
US?
city.
Yeah.
It was, they did this in the 1920s, and it was what you'd see in the US. They built these schoolhouses. Everybody there spoke English. They put up American flags, and like, it was the US, right? And then just along this river. And Panama was like, hey, this is a raw deal we got here because they built this giant canal.
Yeah.
They're operating it. They're getting all the money from it.
Right.
And the people who are traveling through it, sometimes they'll stop, but they never go into Panama City or any outside of the canal zone. So they're spending all their money and stuff.
Right.
Where in the U.S. area, not where we benefit from it. So we're not benefiting from this at all. We literally cut us in half, and we've got nothing to show for it.
Sure.
And there actually became like this big division of people who lived in the canal zone, the people who were out, and it became like this big... just a big cultural issue.
Oh, you live in the canal zone. Yeah, it's kind of like, Kansas City, Missouri, and Johnson County.
Yeah, the canal zone. And so it all kind of erupted in 89 when the U.S. sent 10,000...
89,19?
Yeah, 89,19. Which is fitting because that was exactly 100 years after France...
And the year that Taylor Swift was born.
Okay. So
am I wrong?
I mean, I guess.
I think Taylor Swift is responsible for the Panama Canal conflict.
So the U.S. sent 10,000 troops to just kind of occupy, and it turned into this pretty long war that resulted in 2000. In January 1st, 2000, the U.S. was like, fine, it's yours, Panama. And so now they own the canal, and they've done a bunch of stuff, like improvements and stuff to it. They've widened it, so now you can fit fatter boats. You can turn your boat around; it won't get stuck.
Nice.
Yeah, they said take that, Suez. And so, it all began literally 500 years
with a
ago.
dream.
500 years ago with a dream from a guy who had honestly no right dreaming about that.
He was just like, oh my gosh, that'd be cool.
It'd be so cool.
No need for it.
Yeah.
Just kind of like...
Literally on the other side of the planet. Like, he never would go over there.
Yeah,
like,
pull up a map. I kind of want to dream for a little bit, Let's... Two white guys on the podcast. Let's pull up a map and figure out where we're going to conquer.
Yeah, where can we canal?
Where can I plant my flag? You know what I'm talking about? Where can I... Yeah, can it now? It's a new TikTok series.
Can it now?
Can it now? I don't know. I'm not interested down here. I'm interested in like the other part of the world.
What if I wonder if there's a spot in Missouri.
Yeah.
Like
can we canal Missouri?
Can we put a canal in Kansas City?
Let's zoom in.
Can we build a Kansas City canal?
Surely.
Is there a spot right here? That can't be too long. That's a lot.
No, I ride that on my bike. That's not too long. From Lake Wacomas to the river.
Maybe right here.
And you want to cut it all the way where? To downtown?
No, I'm saying like just right here.
Oh,
Is there a spot where we could buy a small plot of land and just dig a canal for the joke?
Yeah. Support us on Patreon so we can canal.
We're going to make a canal tier.
Yep.
Right here. Wouldn't it be so much faster if we could sail just across this little?
Because right now it's too sharp of a turn. We want to build it like a what is it, like a yield lane?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the river's
That's
right
the
turn
river's
lane.
right turn.
Yeah, this is so stupid. What a dumb bit. Let's get out of this.
Okay. Look at now.
Yeah. There we go. Keep going. Keep going. Keep.
This is as far as it'll let me go.
Oh, okay, that's all right. Yeah, that's a good spot for a canal. That's interesting.
So, anyways, yeah, that's
the Panama Canal.
The Panama Canal. Crazy history. My favorite part's the stamps.
Yeah, I love the. That's super passive aggressive. I enjoy that.
Yeah, it's great. It worked. To think the Panama Canal would never exist if it wasn't for some guy's stamp choice.
Yeah, that's good.
Butterfly effect.
Do you think if we put the Eiffel Tower and the Statue of Liberty next to each other, because they're both from France, right?
Yeah, I think you could loop something around the torch and build
A slingshot?
Yeah.
Oof. What would you sling
What would I sling?
in this gigantic slingshot?
This feels like a weird, like, street interview question.
What would you sling if the Eiffel Tower and Statue of Liberty were next to each other? But it's like a riddle for some reason. And it's like, I don't know. Anyway, Fiddle Off.
You're still here, which means you've either walked away from the video or you just kind of gave up and just let it play in the background. Either way, thanks for doing that. Thanks for making it to the end of the episode. Through the Fiddle Off, you've made it. So there are more episodes. You can click that right there, or you can watch other videos. Make sure you subscribe to this video and whatever other things YouTubers say.